the first man executed involuntarily in the U.S. since 1967, was John Arthur Spenkelink. John Spenkelink was born on March 29, 1949, in Le Mars, Iowa. Spenkelink was a drifter who was convicted in California for armed robbery and had been sentenced to 5 years to life. He had just escaped from the Slack Canyon conservation camp when he shot and killed a small-time criminal named Joseph Szymankiewicz in Tallahassee, Florida, in 1973. On February 4, 1973, the 24-year-old Spenkelink, a twice-convicted felon and an escapee from a California correctional camp, picked up Joseph J. Szymankiewicz, a hitchhiker, while traveling in the Midwest. Both men had criminal records, and both were heavy drinkers. They checked into a hotel room in Tallahassee. After Spenkelink left to wash the car, he returned and shot Szymankiewicz while he slept in bed, once in the head just behind the left ear and a second time in the back. He then told a cover story to the hotel proprietor, paid for an extra day, and left with Frank Brum, another hitchhiker. Spenkelink claimed that he shot Szymankiewicz in self-defense and that he forced sexual relations on him earlier, and forced him to play Russian roulette. He also claimed that the gun went off accidentally during a fight between the two. Less than 1 week later, Spenkelink and Brum were arrested for suspicion of armed robbery in Buena Park, California. The murder weapon was found in an apartment leased to Brum and others. Upon their return to Florida, both were tried for first-degree murder. Spenkelink was found guilty and Brum was acquitted. On December 20, 1973, subsequent to a jury verdict of guilty of first-degree murder, Spenkelink was sentenced to the death penalty by Florida State Court trial judge on the jury's recommendation. 5 years later, following an unsuccessful direct appeal and unsuccessful collateral review in the Florida State Courts, and 2 unsuccessful petitions for certiorari to the United States Supreme Court, Spenkelink seeks federal habeas corpus relief. He asks the court in effect to reverse his conviction and annul the decision that he must die for his premeditated act of murder. After reviewing the record with painstaking care and considering each of the petitioner's contentions, the court have determined that Spenkelink's conviction and sentence were proper. Accordingly, the district court's dismissal of his petition for habeas corpus. Spenkelink contends that he murdered Szymankiewicz in self-defense following a scuffle between the two after Spenkelink had returned to the motel room to retrieve certain belongings that Szymankiewicz allegedly had stolen. Florida contends that Spenkelink murdered Szymankiewicz while he was asleep in bed. The trial jury recommended that Spenkelink receive the death penalty. The trial court agreed. It found that the felony was committed for pecuniary gain, either for another person's money or to recoup his own, that the crime was especially heinous, atrocious and cruel. That Spenkelink was previously convicted of a felony involving the use, or threat of violence to another, to wit armed robbery, and that Spenkelink committed the crime while under sentence of imprisonment. It was an unsure time more than 20 years ago as Florida prepared to carry out the first involuntary execution of a convicted felon since a U.S. Supreme Court ban on capital punishment was overturned. On May 25, 1979, Spenkelink, 30, was put to death for the 1973 slaying of Joseph Szymankiewicz in a Tallahassee motel room. Szymankiewicz, had been shot twice and bitten in the head with a hatchet after Spenkelink said the man forced him at gunpoint to commit a homosexual act. On May 25, 1979, the Venetian blinds in the tiny brown chamber at the Florida State Prison opened at 10:11 a.m., giving the 32 witnesses their first glimpse through the glass partition at the condemned man. He was strapped tightly into the stout oak chair, a black gag across his mouth. Suddenly a black hood dropped over his face, and 6 attendants stepped back. The executioner, his identity a secret and his face also shrouded in black, flipped a red switch, sending 2,250 volts of electricity through the man's body, then 2 more surges. At 10:18 a.m., a doctor pronounced him dead, and the Venetian blinds closed. So ended the life of John Spenkelink. He was 30, a wiry drifter and habitual criminal, after a frenzied week of final appeals, to the Florida Supreme Court, to the Federal Appeals Court, and to the U.S. Supreme Court. He had won 2 brief stays, then lost them both because of pleas by Florida officials who were determined to put him to death. Finally, he had kissed his mother and girlfriend goodbye, taken communion and delivered to Episcopal priest Thomas Feemster a cryptic epitaph: "Man is what he chooses to be. He chooses that for himself." Spenkelink's last words were capital punishment them without a capital get the punishment. Outside Spenkelink's cell, the 130 other condemned men on Florida's death row shouted and pounded on cell bars. Some 70 demonstrators gathered in the warm spring sun on a field near the prison, chanting "Death row must go" and singing "We shall overcome." Thank you for watching Death Row.